Looks like it's working. Can you all hear me? All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I think we should applaud this MC. He's just got the. He is so amazing. First, I'm delighted. Thank you for the great introduction. I'm delighted to sit amongst distinguished panelists. I also would like to thank Yinka. Yinka and I were colleagues at MTN. So we spent a greater part of, I think my career, entire career at MTN was spent at the same time with Yinka. So we worked together as long as he was there. And I think Bayo too, Bayo and I worked at MTN, our wonderful keynote speaker. So I've been a moderator. They've put me in the middle. They say I have balanced views. And so I'll try to be balanced. But I don't know how I can be balanced when I have, when I listen to the profile, the bio of this distinguished panelist. I don't know how I can be balanced, but I'll do my best to be balanced. I also feel I think it's a great opportunity to learn because I'm sitting amongst people across sectors, small, big businesses. I am a small business owner, interestingly, after so many years in the corporate world, both in Africa and in North America. So I feel really privileged to sit here. And I'm really inspired by the great work that Avetium is doing. Then, of course, being a great partner of Zoho, I've researched Zoho, and I know that it's a great tool to enable your business. So I think the theme of this panel discussion, I'm told, is tools to outcome. Tolu is correct? Tools to outcome. So, and we had our speaker, and I think he started out with Yinka's welcome address. Piggybacked was a keynote speaker, piggybacked on that point, and he spoke about it. He talked about the benefits. You could have you could do all the digital transformation you want, and it could just be a tool. But if it doesn't translate to outcome, it is not transformation. And I'll tell you a short story. Hopefully, it can help to frame the conversation today. When I left the corporate world, I wasn't sure, especially I haven't worked in a large organization like MTN. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. I had an opportunity to go back to the corporate world. I also, some mind was telling me to be a business owner. So I started out by buying a business. So I bought a coffee business in a city on the outskirts of Toronto, in a city called Oakville. So I bought a franchise. And so it was an ongoing, it was a coffee business that was ongoing. So it wasn't brand new. So it was running already. And the first day I took over the business, and the first day I saw a long line. And these guys were trying to pay. I was like, this looks like it's going to be good business. But I realized that the line, I had long lines trying to pay, and I had the baristas. Baristas are the guys who make the coffee. And I realized that my sales were not great. It now turned out that I now looked at it. I sat down and I saw that people were also, when they come in and see the long line, they leave. And it dawned on me that, look, my problem is people were lining up. The lines were taking too long. And I realized that the payment process was manual. And I'll tell you, it was so manual that the guy at the till or the lady at the till would enter the sales amount and pass on the POS to the customer. The customer will enter the PIN, and course, sometimes the PIN may be wrong or the network may not work, and pass it on back. So transactions were taking like 3-4 minutes. To payment process, the payment journey was taking like 3-4 minutes. So it wasn't translating to sale. It was causing a long lineup. What did I do? So, of course, we engaged technology and we automated the process with the POS machine with the till, so that as soon as they enter the coffee type, it could be a latte, it could be Americano or anything. As soon as you enter it, it populates, it automatically comes up on the machine, so the staff does not have to input the amount, and as soon as the customer pays, bang, he gets a receipt. Did you know that this reduced our transaction time by 50%? Sales grew, customers were staying, we reduced lines. So for me, that is a practical example of how you can use technology to influence business outcomes. So that really helped me, and I'm glad to say that I did experience double-digit growth year on year. Please don't ask me. So the business grew, but I eventually sold the business. So, but for me, that's how simple I can explain digital transformation in my own little way as a small business owner. So, having said that, I'm going to. Did anyone applaud? Did I hear you guys applaud that simple story? Come on, guys. I transformed. Is it because it's a small business? Come on, it's a small business. But anyway, so today we're going to format is around. We have some what I call talking points. So I'm going to be throwing out some questions, leading questions. They are not necessarily questions of direct answers. I'm not expecting direct answers, but those questions are meant to tease out the points. So I'm going to start off. I'll probably make it crowd for some fun. Who should we start off with? Say it again? Ladies first. Okay. Do you all agree I should start with the lady? All right. Now I'm going to ask the more difficult. Which of the ladies should I start off with? Debbie. Okay. All right. I'm going to start off with Debbie. Don't worry, Bisola. It will come to you next. All right. So, interestingly, Debbie is actually the first person I have on my agenda. So, I will ask, and he came up in the conversation with Bio, and he says, I think Yinka also alluded to that. He says, digital transformation has become one of the phrases, buzzwords. But in your point of view, what does it really mean to move beyond digital transformation? How do organizations evolve from simply digitizing processes to truly transforming the way they operate and grow? Debbie.
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for sharing that story. You just made my life very easy because your story is now my framework.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to congratulate the Avetium team for a job well done. We've been partners for years. Zoho, my company, has been a user since 2018, thereabouts, so I'm quite conversant with that. So I'm going to play around this, and you're using your scenario as my foundation. Now, that's a very clear case of a process that had its challenges, and it affected the numbers in terms of revenue to start, and then customer satisfaction, and average, what you call average interaction or average transaction time or handling time, as you want to call it. Now, you've done the work to digitize, and payments have gone up 50%. Customer dissatisfaction has reduced. So what next? The work, interestingly, I've been advocating for this for a bit. The now of work requires to amplify human intelligence. What we've been doing is we have been making human beings very procedural and very automated in their thinking. Now we're saying, rather than you handling these manual processes, we're going to digitize them. And once that is done, what are you going to be doing next? So the fear of AI taking jobs doesn't make sense to me because you now have time to leverage your human intelligence. So I'm going to use this beautiful transformation story as an example. It's a brownfield. So what typically happens when you talk about digital transformation, where the stories are usually very easy to tell, is when it's a green field, a new company, right? So this is a going concern. It's a brownfield. I don't know how many years it was before you took over, right? But they had what you would call legacy issues.
Yes.
Now, all this has been resolved. So what happens next? If you had 20 human beings attending just to make the queue move quickly, factoring in all the payment challenges, you try to solve the problem by hiring more people. Now you have digitized, so you have 10 people now effectively running that payment process. What would the other 10 be doing? And that's what I want to draw attention to, human intelligence. These 10, now think about employee status. We don't want to lay them off because guess what? Your sales have gone up. So you can now accommodate these people in terms of paying salaries, right? Now think about it this way. When you talk about human intelligence, people are the bedrock of any business. And these days, I always encourage employers, even when I do interviews as an employer, I hire for multiple skill. So if you're an accountant, I'm not going to hire you because I want an accountant. I'm going to hire you because I want financial management, regardless of the cadre you come in. So if I bring you on board and I now have excess of 10 people, I'm going to apply those people to functional areas where we can increase customers, we can increase sales. Now, using this scenario, and I'm just going to play off my human experience, because in fact, this morning I came in early, because I came from the mainland to beat traffic, and I went to Pit Stop Village to get coffee. My favorite is caramel macchiato. So this your story, see, is really sticking, right? So now, these other people who are roaming, we call them either you are roaming the floor, the shop floor, right? They can spend time to pay attention to me, to see my patterns, to see my behavior. They're thinking outside the box. What else? Okay, Debbie comes in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. She orders a cup of caramel macchiato. She does not like to wait. There's a specific section she likes to sit. You identify 2, 3, 4. AI won't do this for you because you're dealing on the spot with human beings. You're seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 people like me. Okay, high-profile CEOs, all of that. Great. What's the behavior here? What can we glean from this? Now, there are some who are students. So let's say, for example, around the same axis, you have like an innovation hub with students going to Dr. Bayo. Let's assume Dr. Bayo's academy. Oh, no, sorry. Avetium Academy is close by. And we have fresh graduates or undergraduates wanting to develop a career in customer service, for instance. So we have 500 to 1,000 people who want a cup of either they want coffee or they want hot chocolate, but they just look forward to that cup. It's not their very thing about trending. They go there with their hoodie and their backpacks and they get their coffee and they're doing selfies, and that's another customer segmentation. So your sales are going up because you've digitized your operations. You have excess human resource. You apply them. Now, the data from this in itself is powerful because if these people who are coming in, what is their average spend? The students now, what's from Avetium Academy, what's their average spend? It is 1,500 per cup. So why can they self-serve? Millennials will self-serve. So can we create POPs where you go there? We know because of what you buy, we have your data, what you buy. We can create, I don't know what to call it, whether it's, I don't think it's recipe, sounds like something for food, but there are different types. You can make your own. Recipes, right, applies. Okay, you can make your own. So you now start to create a community. With that alone, you've expanded your business. It's gone beyond just operations. It's gone into growth mode. Growth mode which you are now obsessed about your consumer because the work that I was doing as an operator is taken over by tech. Now it's time for me to understand human beings, apply my human intelligence, and take the business to the next level. That's what I.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for bringing it home. I don't know if anyone wants to touch on any of the panelists, want to follow up, or I can just go on. Do you feel differently? They asked me to stay in the middle, thinking that, especially thinking that somebody may have a different opinion. Do you agree? Okay, so the eyes have it. Okay, the eyes have it. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie, for this great perspective. In keeping with the mood of the room dynamics, which says ladies first, I will still stick to ladies first. So, gentlemen, please bear with me. Yes. Abisola, could I call you Abisola? Okay. I'm going to pass on the next leading questions to you. Still in light of this whole more around embracing of tools or digital adoption, a lot of companies have embraced digital tools, but not all of them have actually achieved the necessary scale or the real scale or impact. To our point about impact, from your experience and point of view, what separates digital adoption from digital maturity? And how can businesses recognize when they have made that shift?
Okay. I'm so excited to be here. I got a call, I think, 2 weeks ago that I was going to be on this panel, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And, I've gotten a lot of information today. I'm filled with information, Mr. Bayo said a lot, Mr. Inka said a lot as well, And, looking at where I'm also coming from, I have got a lot of stories to tell, So digital adoption is, when you basically move from doing manual, to getting softwares, yeah, like you, basically moving from doing things manually to, using systems now, and I would say a story, of where we're coming from. At African Import-Export Solutions, we're basically using technology now to solve global trade problems and logistics for people, their procurement and all of that, So telling the story of, I took over as CEO in 2021, and then when I took over, I saw that there was, a great opportunity with exportation, because we're doing global trade and all of that. So, but I saw that people would also come to the office. They would bring their goods to the office for exportation, and there'll be a long queue. And it got to a time people were turning back. They would come, but what happened? We had system in place, right? But the system was not working for what we wanted. It wasn't solving the problems that we wanted it to solve. So that's digital adoption. We had the system in place, but it wasn't helping us solve the problems that we needed to solve. So what did we do? We refined the system that we had in place, such that at the comfort of your home, you can update whatever it is you wanted to ship and export, and then when you come to the office, you're spending, we're solving your problem, and then you're leaving, right? So basically, digital maturity is when all these tools starts working together, giving you results, right? When Mr. Inka was talking earlier, he was like, there's some MDs that will call him and be like, I'm sure I'm one of those MDs, right? So when we discovered Zoho, we had our own software. We built our own software to solve problems for us. But we also wanted to, it wasn't about customers alone. It was also how we processed whatever it is we had internally, right? So when Zoho came on board, it was Odusoft we started with. It was our call system, right? So we would make calls. But we also discovered a lot of issues with the calls that we were making. People would make calls, there was no follow-up and all of that, right? And even before we started with Odusoft, it was manually, right? We would make phone calls, we wouldn't be able to track whatever it is, our customer service is telling customers and all of that. So we adopted Odusoft. And from Odusoft, we also discovered Zoho. From Zoho, we started with, I think what led us to Zoho was it Zoho People? Zoho People, right? And then from Zoho People, I discovered that they had Zoho Desk. I discovered that they had Click. I discovered they had Zoho Books, CRM. And I'm like, what is this? Like, it was a one-stop shop for everything that we needed, to simplify our processes, and we went for it. And since then, I would say for us at AIES, we've been digitally matured because, it's everything in one system. It was first we were using WhatsApp for communication among staffs, but now there's Zoho Click and all of that. So yes, so digital adoption is you having these things digitally, but not, serving as to the extent that it should serve. But digital maturity is when all of these things work for you and then you're getting maximum results. So yes, that's it.
Wow. A round of applause for Abisola. I mean, talking along the line of adoption, it's interesting that you talked about adoption. Did you have to deal with external adoption, customer adoption of digital tools?
Yes, we had to. We did a lot of trainings,
for your
for
customers.
Yes, we did.
Oh my goodness.
We did. Yes. Yeah.
I'm glad I just want to piggyback on this, on the issue of customer adoption, because you could do all the hard work internally. What about the customers? And I'll tell you a short story again. One of the things I probably didn't tell you about myself, I later went back to the corporate world. I became director of customer experience and change management at Thomson Reuters. Thomson Reuters, it's a global corporation headquartered. I was supporting the US market, but we're headquartered in Toronto, but over 20,000 employees globally. So you probably know Reuters, that's for news, but we do more than news at Thomson Reuters. And the interesting thing is, one of our, we had a solution called legal. It's a legal solution. I'm not going to call the name of this that particular solution. But our customers are like lawyers, old lawyers that were using our solutions, and they pay by check, paper checks. So payment was put in the mail, and the postal system worked. But you know what that means? For accounting people or finance people, they don't like what they call days sales outstanding. They want payment, they want cash. So there's what they call days sales outstanding. So we wanted the checks to come in. We wanted to get payment on time. So it was enormous. We had thousands of checks to be processed, manual checks that have to manually uploaded. It was incredible. So we had to now, how do we get people to start using electronic form of payment? It was a nightmare. And we're dealing with lawyers. Lawyers want evidence that they paid you. They want to write checks. So we had to embark on that. And I'm glad I led that project. 60%. We grew adoption by 60%, over 18,000 customers. But the beauty about it is, as you speak, when you talk about digital transformation, as you think internally, you also need to think about the customers. What are the things you're going to do to help them drive adoption? So, having said that, I will go on to does anybody do we have any name from the other side? Oh, we're good. So the A's have it. When I was preparing for this event and I saw the title, it said Beyond Digital Transformation. Beyond Digital. And I knew it was a digital event, and I felt it would be awkward to come to this digital event with paper. And I know that I have eye problems. So I had to come in a digital way. So I digitally transformed my eyes. And I'll be honest, it comes with pain. So please bear with me. I have to start. These are the pains of transformation. But you know what? There are benefits. There are benefits to being to be digitally transformed. So the next one will go to forgive me. I told you, this is the problem. A problem with, I should have taken a tablet like Abisola. So using my phone, Folagbade, I will pass on the next question to you. It will be around the expectations. There are mixed expectations around digital transformation. There are also misconceptions based on your experience, again, and your point of view, because you could have an experience and have a different point of view. So that's why I like to add a point of view. What are some of the common myths or misunderstandings you have seen, and how do they hold companies back from achieving real transformation?
Thank you for the excellent question. Using my own experience, which is the stock market, I'm going to show my age a little because I'm almost like the sandwich generation.
Yes.
I lived through the transformation of the market itself. So not even talking about the business I was in, but the business will come later. So around 2005, 2006, again, I'm showing my age, apologies. There was a lot of money coming into the Nigerian market. For those who are aware, by that time, that was when banking consolidation came. We moved from 2 billion to 25 billion capital base. And ultimately, what followed is everybody started raising money. Everybody started sending in application forms. Everybody started sending in certificates. Everybody started sending in dividend warrants. And somehow, the capital market was almost the laggard when it comes to transformation. Banking has excelled significantly. You had ATMs, you had everything. But capital markets was still paper. So that was my first experience at the slow burning of the market changing. So that, let's just say, intensity of activity, flurry of events, flurry of investments caused operational backlog, significant operational backlog. So I'll move over like about 2-3 years after that. So ultimately, what you had in most stockbroking firms is a situation whereby everybody was clogged up with activity, with documentation. And what tended to happen was you just hire more people, thinking that that would solve the problem. But that was not the solution to the problem. Because yes, you increase capacity, but you are not scaling. So in terms of, when I now sat in my role, because I was the head of operations at that point, what I basically then was thinking is, there has to be a better way of doing this thing. There has to be a significantly better way. Technology needs to come in. Because the first problem was my people weren't even using laptops or computers. So I had to solve that problem. Then it became, I need to teach my people how to use Excel. Then I had to solve that problem. And Excel wasn't enough. So transformation, but in very slow burns. Then it would stop. It can't be Excel. There has to be a core application that drives this. Then I had to make sure we launched a core application to solve the problem. Then I was like, look, why can't people send in their orders instead of emails? Why can't they just put their orders on a web form, right? And then that was the beginning of what you people are using today, which is the Bamboos, the Carrywise, and all these things. It started way back then in that form. So in terms of misconceptions, I think one of the things that I took away is you need to take a step back to really achieve transformation. The problem might be you're standing a little too close to the picture. Take a step back, take several steps back, and take an enterprise view. Because if you are looking at just this problem in terms of one unit, one team, you don't understand the enterprise effect of everything. And what you need to do in transformation is take an enterprise approach. So take that several steps back. You can't be operational at that point. Take several steps back. Do a lot of deep thinking, almost like at an architectural level, to say, what do I do to create significant capacity across the entire ecosystem? Then you understand, oh, I need a web solution here. Then you understand, I need a mobile solution here. I need a storage solution. I need a CX solution here. Before you know it, you already have the makings of a full digital transformation plan. So that's the one advice I would give to people in terms of understanding the process of digital transformation. Second advice would be, it is not a 100% tech conversation. I dare say it's almost like a 30% tech conversation. The rest is people and culture. Because the misconception people also think is, I'll just pay for this solution and my problem is solved. They build it and the people will come. They don't always come. So it now became, how do I move and shift the mindset away from this to this? And if anybody has done anything, well, that's one of the hardest things that you'll ever do in any transformation project. Converting those people into evangelists. And how do you do it? it will not happen, even if you preach and preach and preach and preach. The minute you go back and turn your back, they'll go back to what they were doing before. So you need to find an evangelist within the team, understand people's real, it's deep work, it's real deep work. You have to understand their significant problems. And you don't have to solve for everybody's problem. Solve one piece at a time. Just look for one person that's going to be your advocate, your evangelist, and just pour into that person. And once that person solves and sees the solutions, it will shock you that everybody will now start asking that person the question, how are you doing this? You're closing, normally you used to close at 9, now you're closing at 6. Let me understand what's going on. Or you used to close at 5, now you're closing at 12. I need to enter this campaign that you're in. And before you know it, you create a pull effect. And everybody then just follows. So it's as much as a people solution as well as a technology solution. And the last one is culture. I say culture, I was almost tempted to say leadership, but it's actually a culture conversation as well. You need to have someone that is effectively a sponsor at the top. Because if you drive it and you drive it alone, you will drive off a cliff. And everybody will just be like, that's just another failed project. But if you have someone that's at the top, who's your sponsor, executive sponsor, who's leading that project, he will fight for you in the rooms where you are not, where your voice cannot be heard, and ultimately help intensify it. So those are at least in terms of my own experience, those are the little bit of gems I took out from that experience.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Lagbade. It's unbelievable. What I'm hearing him talk about is change management. Get people buying. Get them what's in it for them as well. It's not just telling them about, this technology is going to help you. What's in it for you? If I should link it to my coffee story, my coffee business story, we wanted to buy an automatic coffee maker. And the barista makes the coffee. I don't know if they manually, they froth the milk. It's semi-automated. They froth the milk. If you want to make a latte, you froth it. That's heat it up. Express coffee called espresso. You pour it, you mix and match. But the guy, so when he heard, he was like, what's going to happen to my job? But I made him understand that it's going to make him more efficient. It's going to make him produce more coffee. It's going to grow the business. And make him, it will be efficient. It would enable him more. He will make more coffee. We will have better customer experience and stuff like that. Anyway, bottom line is that it's important that we share what's in it for them. I think what's it called? What's in it for me? YFM or something like that. So thank you so much for Lagbade. So I'm going to come back to Ayodeji. I'm not going to leave you out. And in line with my balanced perspective. So I'm going to ask you a question around challenges. And I'm glad you work with a large bank, a large corporation. That's why I feel blessed to be sitting amongst people across different genre of business, if we may use that language. Even though it talks about growing companies, your company is certainly not growing. Well, they grow, they make more money, they grow faster, but you support a lot of growing businesses. You see a lot of small businesses, you enable them, There's this talk about data silos, and I can tell you, I dare say, in my career, in Nigeria, we had data silos. Even in North America, we had silos in large companies. So information is trapped in different systems and teams. In fact, what I heard lately is data lake. That's what I now hear. And I'm asking, where is this lake that you have data, Very soon we'll say data ocean. How can integrated platforms help maintain data consistency, transparency, collaboration across businesses? Ayodeji, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the invite. So the way we look at it is, first of all, what do you mean by an integrated system, right? So why I sit, it's about having various solutions talk to each other and having a common foundation, right? And that common foundation typically is data-driven, right? So you have one single source, right? And everybody talks to it. I'll give you a reason why organizations have moved to those integrated platforms. So I don't know if people can remember the days before CRMs, where you go to, I'll speak from a financial service standpoint. You go to a branch, you make a request. You have to, when you go to another branch, they don't know anything about what you asked for. They have to pick up that whole request from the beginning. So you can imagine the level of frustration and challenges from a customer experience, productivity, even revenues, right? So that was the story before. Now you've seen a lot of banks move to integrated platforms. So we have a lot of CRM platforms, ERM platforms. But the whole goal is to achieve consistency, transparency, right, and collaboration. Now, when you take each one after each other, right? So let's start from transparency. Yes. It's important for you to see what others are doing. So let's say, for example, you have a customer makes a request. Now, that request would impact on, let's say you come to the branch, you come to request for a card. Now that card will impact on, that issued card will impact on stocks. So the guys managing the stocks needs to see that, okay, this card has been issued, reorder level, and all that. So that helps improve efficiency. Now, from a transparency standpoint as well, you see that having a single source provides additional, how I say it, ensures audits, trails, and all that can have a view into what is happening, so we can see what's happening. Then from a collaboration standpoint, what you see is, because you have a single data source, that collaboration across functions, enables us to be efficient, right? So when we bring these three together, integrated platforms, leveraging on a single data source, helps drive efficiencies, right? And I think every business, whether growing or established, needs to look at it from that standpoint. How can I get an integrated platform that enables me to achieve these three things? And, you spoke about, data, so you spoke about digital maturity, right?
Yes.
The amount of that you can achieve speaks to your maturity as an institution, right? So the more of that you can get, the more matured you are as an institution, and that means more value for the organization in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for Ayodeji. Thank you. What I hear you say, one customer view, one single source of truth. Excellent. In line with the balanced perspective toga that I've been giving again today, I'd like to shift things around. Because I started with Debbie last time, I will balance it out by starting with Abisola this time around. So let's talk about scalability. When we talk about scalability, we know that not every digital tool can truly grow with a business. We know that. In your point of view, what characteristics or features make a digital tool genuinely scalable, especially for business that are expanding rapidly?
Okay, that's a very good question. And I would say that a tool becomes scalable when, it's able to do what you want it to do without costing you more, without you spending more, right? It's able to grow with you without you, spending any more money, right? And I'm going to cite another example. So we're expanding into another location in the US. We wanted to set up a Delaware warehouse, because we're also considering importation, and we wanted a situation whereby people could import without paying so much taxes, right? We also wanted to save costs for people. So we're setting up our Delaware warehouse, we're expanding. And then all we had to do was just replicate the system that we had, right? And, make it work for us in that location. And we didn't have to spend so much more, in the sense that, we had the Zoho system in place. this Zoho is very interesting to me, and I love it because it has unified all our systems. It has put everything in one place, right? I remember I was in the warehouse in the US, and a customer came in. I was still recruiting for our location in the US, right? And a customer came in, wanted to make inquiries, but I was busy. All I needed to do is we already set up a system at the entrance of the warehouse, and all I needed to do was, use the Zoho click, got on a video call with the Nigerian team, and the customer service in Nigeria was attending to that customer live, right? That was very interesting and amazing. So we've been able to scale with the tools that we have without spending a lot more money. We're in the UK, we're in the US, we're in Nigeria, we're in a lot of places in Nigeria, but we have just one central customer service.
Wow.
Because of the tools that we have. So those tools have been able to make us scale because we're not getting customer service in the US, we're not getting customer service in the UK, we're not, recruiting everywhere and then having scattered operations. So like I said, in 2021, we just had this mindset shift. We knew that we wanted our scattered operations to be unified. We knew that we wanted connected intelligence, and we went for it, and it's been working. A lot of times we also reach out to our Avetium and be like, you know what, this system you have it in place, but we want you to customize it for us. And that's another interesting thing that happens because they are able to customize these tools to work the way we want it to work. And that's how you can scale and take your business to the next level. You'll be able to spend less and do more, basically. Thank you.
Wow. Another round of applause. Yes, I'll just pass it on to you. So if you can build on it. Interestingly, you have the next question, but you can actually follow up on that.
Yes.
And I'll ask you the next question.
Very inspiring story. Very inspiring story. And it's one of the things I love about Zoho. And what I want to say is another example of Zoho, and this is more internal. So the model that we run in my consultancy is such that we're solving two problems. We're solving for manpower issues because we do a lot of work around managing experiences. So we manage across 4 pipes. Either it's customer experience, employee, product, or brand experience with our clients. Right? Now, we do a lot of innovation along these lines, and what we've done is we can hire a lot of people. So we have professionals who are in roles 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years and stuck, but they don't want to resign, but they want an opportunity to do something extra to deepen their experience management capabilities. So what we've done is we have a project-based pay model. We have a client who needs something, it's a contact center project. This person has the skill sets which on that project. Now we had a challenge with, at the end of the month, everybody has their job schedule, the number of days you work. We do per day, not per hour, because we build clients per value, right? And then we have Excel sheets flying around. Now we're thinking digital because of who we are at my firm. And where I talk about multi-skill area, I asked someone who is an experienced but also passionate about tech to come up with an application. So if we had gone to a tech person to say design an app, we all know how much that would have come to. But I was just doing some research and I realized Zoho Creator could do that. So on Zoho Creator, my colleague went on Zoho Creator and created an application where my team on project-based pay could log in their days, their project deliverables. And from there, so we don't have HR, we have people operations. You can go there and just review those days. So I wanted to just share that, an example from how Zoho has also helped with that as well in my space.
Wow. I mean, Debbie, I don't think I need to ask you again because you kind of touched on it because it's still along the line of scalability. So if you don't mind, I'll just pass on the mic again to IODG. It's probably going to be my last question, just being respectful of your time. IODG, we've talked about user adoption. Everyone's talked about it around the table. But we also know that it's a critical success factor in transformation. But in your view and experience, what really drives adoption when introducing the new digital tools? How can organizations make the transition smoother for their teams? Yes.
Hello? Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. Given the context, I'll speak from the comment earlier with respect to culture and people, right? I think one key mistake people make is around believing technology is a silver bullet, right? And forgetting the other drivers that need to be in place. So I'll look at it from three angles or three framework process. So first of all, you need to engage, right? So there's an engagement piece, there's an empowerment piece, and there's also a reward/celebration piece. And when you put these three together, those are the key structures that will help you drive adoption. So what do I mean by engagement? So engagement is you want to introduce a solution to solve a problem, and that's going to impact on people. So the first starting point is creating a business case, and I think you touched on it as well. What is in it for me, right? So what's going to be the impact of this solution? It's like you're pitching to management to get an approval. You also need to pitch to the users to get that approval, right? So you start with that. What is in it for them? What's that business case? How will this impact them? And engage them on from the start. A lot of times, management makes a decision to buy a software and just come to dump it on the users, right? So again, those are the pitfalls. So you need to properly engage, and that's very, very critical. So that's the engagement part. Then when you talk about the empowerment, you need to properly train, right? Put in place structures where the people or the users are well trained. You have champion networks where they can easily reach out to their colleagues that, in case they have questions or challenges, right? You allow them to put it into use as well, like trial period without necessarily forcing an immediate changeover. So those things around, empowering is very important. Then the last one is about, rewards and celebrate, right? It's very important for you to figure out how to incentivize that adoption. So you have like reward programs, let's say you give people a target, and once they meet it, you have some incentives for them, right? So if you put those three pieces together, what I've seen is adoption is, I'm going to, hit the, you succeed in what you want to achieve. I think so. For example, we're doing something around co-pilots right now in terms of leveraging agentic AI and the likes, right? And there's a lot of that in works, incentivizing, people seeing value. And we've seen a lot of adoption. The productivity has been great. So I think once you apply those three, you should see adoption and success. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Doctor. I wanted to almost call you Dr. Ayodeji. Thank you, Ayodeji. I mean, I was so carried away that I almost added doctor. I mean, it sounded like I was in I was listening to a lecture. Let's applaud Ayodeji, please. No, this is amazing. This is probably going to be the last, if you don't mind. I don't mind staying all day, but just being respectful. We talk about, this is interesting, it's around automation. I knew I couldn't leave this room today without mentioning automation and AI. Yes, I know the topic is around digital transformation, beyond digital, but you can't talk about these things without automation and AI. So, Folagbade, you have the honor of taking the last question. It says, automation and AI have become central or integral to modern business operations. But beyond efficiency, how do they actually drive scalability and growth? What are some practical ways you have seen these technologies transform day-to-day operations?
That's a heavy one. So, first things first, I think the way I see so we have to look at it from two standpoints. Automation and AI, I don't necessarily see both of them as the same. Because you can automate without AI, you can use AI to do other things. So from an automation perspective, what I have, at least, again, driving it home to my experience and the things I used to do for automation, that I used to drive automation in my own business. Let's even say we have a situation whereby we're working in infrastructure, because I've also worked in an infrastructure company on the market. And one of the major problems that business has is data availability, right? That business also has is, I don't want to say it's gone through the transition of the market as well. So because of that, a lot of things that were done on paper didn't necessarily translate to a digital repository, to digital storage. So when somebody in the 70s brought their shares to the market, there's no way that is going to be in a repository. But the experience is in 2025, you expect everything to be digital. So in terms of that kind of legacy business, it has a very low level of automation. Now, one of the things I had thought about in that kind of situation is, how do you use automation and AI to create a cross-functional or cross-business engagement? So instead of just talking and sitting to itself, access a NIPS that has a major repository of financial services data and talk to it and say, come, do you have this data? And if you can train the AI well enough, the AI then says, okay, this is Falakbade's data, just confirm, and it then pull that data in. And you talk to another utilities data, and being able to do that effectively improves your data availability to significantly higher levels. We talk a lot about dividend payments. I'm not sure if you guys follow the markets, but there's a major problem in the markets now today, which is that people buy and invest, and when company pays dividend, you can't get the dividends in their accounts because they don't have your financial records, because, again, data is not available somewhere. Now, if you solve that problem, that dividend, outstanding dividend payment of, let's say, 20 trillion, that unclaimed dividend has been growing, that grows every year. Everybody gets that money back. You get that money all of a sudden, maybe one day, if you solve that problem, one day somebody gets a credit alert of 100 million unclaimed dividend, bam. So, but it takes you to be able to create a sandbox, right, that understands the nature of, for instance, identity management and people management and CRM records, to be able to say, this is a 90% likelihood that this is the data or record you're looking for. And then you pull that data in and you solve that problem going forward forever. Because you first have to stop the leak in terms of people coming in that don't have that data, but you must also create a situation whereby you clean that legacy data to make sure it's available for anybody that wants to pay dividends on. So again, I hope I haven't lost you guys in too much industry talk, but AI, for instance, working at infrastructure and utility points unlocks significant scale, and I think for me, it's just one of the things that I see that can happen very quickly in the market, if we can get it done. Because the problem also is, like you said, everybody's afraid of AI, that AI is going to come and take our jobs. Yeah, so.
All right. Thank you for Lagbade. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel so blessed. I honestly, I have made you friends today. I don't know about you. These guys, I'm definitely going to connect with all of them. I know there's things to learn from them. I learned listening to them, and I would really like to connect with them thereafter. I've learned a lot from the room today. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we should, one more time, as I call their names, please, a resounding applause for each and every one of them in no particular order, but I would go with the established protocol of ladies first. I will start off with Debbie. Ladies and gentlemen, show some love to Debbie. Let's show some love to Abisola. And to my buddies here, Ayodeji. And for Lagbade. Thank you all very much. My name is Andrew Esemeze. It's been a pleasure moderating. I hope I moderated. I was fair. I hope I was balanced. Thank you.
All right. Please, a better round of applause for our panelist and our moderator. Thank you so much. So we're going to take Q&A. And you'd also,
I almost forgot.
yes,
Oh, sorry.
you'd also assist with that.
Oh, jeez. All right.
So here's what's going to happen. We'll take about 2 to 3 questions. If you have further questions, we'll take them at the welcome desk or the registration desk. So the first 2 or 3 person whose hands go up to ask a question, we're going to beckon on them. So that's 1. Any other person? That's 2.
Okay, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 questions. All right. You go first, sir.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Abdusalam Yahya. I work with First Asset Management. Um, so my question goes to the two people on your right, Abisola and Folagbade. I'll start with Folagbade. My question for you. Nice shoes, by the way.
Oh my God.
So you talked about driving automation and that digital transformation in steps, taking a step one after the other. Do you think that there's a tendency now for organizations to want to hustle the process? Like, oh, digital transformation is the thing. Let's just lay off these people. Let's get this solution in place. And then at the end of the day, it probably ends up not being the transformation that they expected it to be. And for Abisola, my question for you is, when you were talking about scalability, I thought about something. You talked about how the solution should be a solution for every part of your business. So I'm now thinking, if I've implemented a solution for my business, it's been going on for like 2 years, but I feel there's a sunken cost fallacy there. Like, I've spent a lot of time into this. I should make it work. Should I be thinking of getting another solution, or I should be thinking I should make it work? That's my question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so you have a solution in place, right? But it's been on, and you're not getting the results that you desire. That's your question, right? Yeah, so it's all this. This is transformation, right? It's supposed to be transformative, and if you're not getting results, it's okay to keep trying to update and see how you can redefine whatever it is that you have in place. So I don't know exactly what you're speaking to, and I will not be able to answer you, except you tell me what exactly it is that that's been on for like years. These are solutions, right? Like I told you, there are times we'll reach out to Avetium and be like, you know what, this is how we want it. Customize it to work for us this way, And then integration is also very key in all of these things that we're doing. So I really don't know what it is that you're speaking with, but 2 years is a long time. And it's okay for all these things, automation and, whatever it is, to happen in phases, right? It doesn't have to happen once. It doesn't have to happen once. It's okay to happen in phases, but, it's okay to keep checking, to keep taking track of what it is. But 2 years is a long time for it not to work for you, or for you not to get your desired results. And it's okay for you to change hands. Before, we had a lot of systems in place. But when we found out about Zoho, we switched because it worked better for us. We looked at it and then we analyzed, and then we found out that it was better for us to go with them. So yes, and then we had to discard the other one. So yes, 2 years is a long time, but it's okay to also check if you can improve on what you have.
Yeah, the summary of what Bisola is saying, the solution to your problem is to move to Zoho. All right.
Does that answer your, in a way?
Okay. So, let me just steal a little bit from her. The truth is, as you transform, right, you need to be mindful of the fact that you're working with business executives, right? You must understand, first and foremost, that everybody wants to see results. It's the first thing they want to do, right? So, going to your question, which was basically, is it just a situation whereby business executives are pushing for efficiency and automation to lay off and redundancy and whatnot? I think one needs to be very mindful of, at the executive level that is, the main reason why they're driving digital transformation is for business growth, not necessarily just for cost reduction. Cost reduction is good, but you want growth, you want scale. And that's where most of Africa, everybody should be anchoring from. If those people need to be repurposed, they need to be repurposed. It's just one of the hard business truths. But if it means that those guys are still going to be retrained and used in a different way within the organization from an IT perspective, that's all good. But if the main thing that every business executive must be driving is not just for the transformation project to just tick it off, you must be solving a real world problem. If you're not solving that real world problem, it's just a check in the box that it's not going to add anything to anybody. So unless you're solving the problem of Amaka at her desk, forget it. It's just going to come and bounce. And that layoff or that growth that you're looking for will never crystallize. So I think, I hope it answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you for Lagwade. A round of applause for Lagwade again, please. Yes, solving a real life problem, a real world problem. Tools need to solve problems, not for the sake of it. So what problem are you trying to solve? And that's why I think it speaks, I don't know if it was Ayodiji that mentioned it, or was you that talked about involving the business. Because sometimes these things are IT-led. So is IT having problems, or the business that is having problems? So if the business is having problem, they said the head with the problem is the head with the solution. So perhaps it would be good to involve the business. But if IT is the one that is trying to solve the problem, it's like going to a doctor, prescribe what you did not complain about, Say, well, I have Panadol for you, and they say, well, I don't have a headache. But if the guy says, look, I have a headache, then he'll probably prescribe the right solution. So that's probably my own contribution to this. Yes, go ahead, Debbie.
So I'll add something to that based on my experience working with clients, right? What typically happens in a scenario like this is when the business is not consulted. No, not the business, the users are not consulted before the solution is purchased. Typical. That's what happened. So you would get, it's not out of rejection of the tool, it's more that it does not solve their problem. So you see the problem, you go somewhere, maybe within or outside of Nigeria, and you're exposed to it, and in some cases, even leadership. Oh, this is great. We'll get it for First Bank. Permit me to. I like to work with real life cases. So yours. Let me move to yes. Right? And it's now imposed because a leader has a bright idea and has been exposed to how this solution can work and take you to a certain level in terms of bragging rights. Now you deploy the solution, nobody can understand it. It lacks local context. There's nothing you can do. And you're shoving it down people's throats. You're having issues with operations. Customers are dissatisfied. Transaction handling time is unnecessarily lengthened. So what I always advise is to solve the problem on that, involve users. That's one error that always happens. I'm on a project now for an organization where, and I've done this, I've seen even contact center, in blue chip companies where you have a contact center agent going through 5 different applications to attend to one customer's complaint. How is that humanly possible? So now you can say, okay, we've had all 5 for 2 years. We want to make it work. No. It can't work.
Nice.
There's no way it's going to work. Not for another second. Because think about the end user and the efforts they are putting in. It will affect your outcome. So then you have to unify, which is where, again, we can't talk enough about Zoho and the unified platform that it provides.
Wow.
All these things you can plug, and it's wild. What I like about Avetium, and I've known Yinka for a very long time, is the consultative approach. You're not shoving Zoho down your throat. What are your needs? So I can promise you, this is direct sales. Yinka, is it okay? You are first too now. You are the yeah, I promise you that if you engage Avetium yes. and we walk through your operations end to end for the specific area, I'm part of Avetium, so you get the 2-in-1 package, right? You will definitely see your roadmap to unify with Zoho. That's a promise. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Just one last point on this. I dare share the experience at Thompson, but it's not going to be long. For you to, as the CIOs in this room may not like me for this, for you to get approval for your fund, CapEx, they call it CapEx funding, money you invest on technology to make, so that for business plan, typically CIOs go to present their CAPEX budget to the board and say, well, we're going to spend X million dollars for next year because we're going to do a transformation. It's the business that actually go to present. Then the CIO will support and say, well, so as a business, we want to transform our operations, our processes, and these are the benefits. But we require this technology. And that technology, the CIO is going to be deploying it. So the person requesting for the funding will be the business side. So I don't know, food for thought. I don't know whether CIOs in this room would be annoyed with me because it's probably, they are shaking. So it may just be a new way to think. But the bottom line is that they go with the CIO. So it's a partnership. But having said that, I will go back. You can see that your question drew a lot of comments and input. I'm told there's the ladies have come back. They've come back. They've said, look, no, we have to take back our place. We can't give it up to men. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hear there's a lady in the room who wants to ask a question. Is that correct? I said it. Can never give up this space.
Sir.
Yes.
I'm here. Would you want me to go to the lady or to stick with this man?
Sitting on the existing protocol, ladies first.
Where's the lady? Please, by show of hands. Oh, you're just beside. Okay, I'm going to come to you. Please excuse me.
Yes.
My name is Temitope Adekunle. Right, I work with First Asset Management. I wanted to ask a question from where I stopped. And can you still hear me? Okay. And I hear talk a lot about Zoho, so I don't know if it's the right time to ask this, but can Zoho support as a core banking application for, let's say, asset management? Aside the CRM part of it, can it support? Because I see a slide on finance the other time when the MD was speaking. So can it support the transactional parts, talking of subscriptions and redemptions for investment banking like asset management, aside the CRM part of it where we have customer information and the likes? So can it do that?
Okay. I was brought into this room to moderate.
So I was actually directing that question to her because she was talking a lot about Zoho, so I got interested.
No, I wanted to just kind of establish that principle. So sitting on that principle, I will call on a Zoho person to, an Avetium staff to respond to that.
All right.
So somebody who can speak to that real quick. Yinka, did you want to speak to it?
Okay. That was too good.
The chief sales officer, not sales officer, maybe evangelist.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I can say is that that's one of the things that Zoho Creator can do for you. What Zoho Creator does for you is that it takes in your requirements, the concept, what you're thinking, and then it creates an application to suit what you're talking about. If you're talking about a ready-made core banking application, I'm not aware of that from Zoho already. They understand. But in terms of what you are talking about in terms of subscription, we've actually tweaked the existing Zoho books that Zoho uses to support that kind of business for one of our clients before, where they are in a finance business, but the way they recognize their revenue is different from the way the revenue is recognized normally. So what we did was to work with them, get their requirements, and tweak the existing application to support that for them. So the answer to your question is yes, it can be done. We just need to work with you, get your requirements, and build it to suit your specific need.
All right. Thank you, Yinka. All right, the last question. Thank you for that. And thank you for the question.
Okay, so the gentleman over there, let me just quickly come to you. Yes, so you follow the same pattern.
Thank you. My name is Olufemi. I work with Greater Washington Capital. I'm business strategy. My question is for Lagbade. You said you were head of operation one time. So I always brag about myself being the people's person. Like I can get people to do things they normally would not do. So I've been in the new business for about 4 months. And a whole lot of culture shock for me getting into the new business. And I'm trying to get people to get a whole lot of buying into a whole lot of things. Imagine having a solution and people are not using it. You're trying so hard. You're trying so hard for people to use the solution and it's always a brick wall. Even though as much as you try so much persuasion, letting them see what this does for them, how it makes their life easier. people are just stuck in their old way. Your suggestion, sir?
Wahala has come to town.
So let me recap what you said. So at this point, you deployed a new solution. You are doing the advocacy work. And you believe yourself to be the people person that normally people will listen to, right? And they're not listening to you. Then that means there's something else. It either means the solution that you have a strong belief in is not hitting that spot, is not solving the problem appropriately. They may not be able to articulate it in a way that they will put that point across. So you need to find that one person, maybe take them out and say, or maybe there's a concern that you are Oga or you're this person, and if they talk, head to roll or something, there is clearly some barrier that is not letting you understand the underlying issue. You may think yourself to be the people person that is going to solve the problem, but you need to try a different approach. Maybe take the one or two people out to dinner or to drinks. Alcohol loosens lips. So maybe you need to have some level of better advocacy, right? That helps you understand what the true issues are. Because if you are not really taking... So let me even ask you a question. Are you the only person pushing this thing? Is it you alone, or do you have a team? I think maybe that's where your first problem is. For me, what I've seen as an experience is that you can't do things like application adoption by yourself. You need to pull one person from that place to be a part of your team. And you also need to solve for other things like communication. So build a team within the various teams that exist and let that one person be the advocacy for you within that team. Convert that person. Again, alcohol loosens lips. I'm not saying you should go and buy and drink alcohol. I'm not supporting, I'm not pushing any brand, but take that person out, understand what that person wants. Sometimes it's just about buying into what that person needs, and then that person will buy into you. And ultimately, before you know it, you won't even be the one pushing it. That person will be the one pushing it for you. If truly it is a solution that works for them. If it doesn't, that person will tell you it's not a solution that works for us. So advocacy, you just have to keep on. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall, but you continue. But again, if you drink the alcohol, the pain won't be too bad. All right?
Thank you for Lagbade. I think Debbie just quickly was having a side bar with me, and I thought it's not only my ears that will hear this. So I feel you should share what she was whispering to me. So Debbie.
Okay, that's fine. So question I want to ask before I share my thoughts. Is this for internal or external customers? Internal, right. So here's the thing. I apologize, I tend to get really practical. I hope that's fine. You have the solution already, correct? Nobody's using it. Now, what I would advise, the users, get them in a room, and even representation. Now you need to sell it. Get them in a room. You can call it it's kind of like a focus group-ish type